to the college. This is one of the things I want you parents out there to be aware of. Arsha Bradshaw said, what we are also proposing, she's proposing the introduction of the Barbados National Secondary Diploma that children will receive if they don't have not going on to CXC or CAPE, and she calls it a piece of paper. A
That's what it
piece
would be.
of paper, so that if the child leaves school and does not leave with CXCs, would have a Barbados National School diploma, secondary diploma, and the child will be able to say, I am competent in numeracy and literacy and foreign language. Hence, we're getting that high school diploma or the Barbados National Secondary School Diploma. And this is what I wrote here. Will the workplace accept this? And we have some children out there, I've come across them, who will say, you see, I got the national, what they call it, let me read it again. I have the Barbados National Secondary School Diploma. Then say how they'll be examined, how they'll be graded, how they will gain this certificate. I know that. I know here that there was a Barbados secondary school leaving certificate, and it meant nothing. You've answered my question. Will this proposed certificate, look, you're all too bright, will this proposed certificate be sufficient enough to satisfy the workplace? Look, you all are asking me, isn't that the same as the Barbados Secondary School certificate? Don't you hear, student, that they are reforming, so they're proposing something that never existed before? And you are asking me that question. Don't you hear that they're proposing this certificate, this diploma for somebody say it sounds just like the piece of paper that will match the government bond. I ain't going there, but she called it a piece of paper. And my question is, will it satisfy the employer? And there are some children I know would only be too glad to leave school and holler, I'm going back to school. I have the, what is the name again? The Barbados National Secondary School Diploma.
Ross, you remember there was one that the CIC had bought into place and Barbados was hell bent on it. I remember in Jamaica make fun of it and call it. It was the abbreviation was CCSLC. Jamaicans call it Come Slow Learners Come. I never forget that.
Oh no,
And
Marcia laughing.
you remember, but the Jamaicans said they would have no part of it. But Barbados went on board and it lasted for a few weeks. As a matter of fact, they actually put that qualification for school meals, workers, if you want to be a server, you had to have that and all kind of thing. It didn't
Wow.
last long.
Hmm. So here we are making that regressive step again. And we are going to have some children who who similar to how CNC Basic did not satisfy employers in this country. And we are doing this to our children. We're saying we are preparing first class, first world children, but I come into that if we have time. But let me get into,
But don't forget about the source of the funding,
I
right?
am
I don't.
coming now to XQ, to the
Okay, okay.
XQ. And my bright student who right now is sitting in what's where the senior college of excellence. She said here that there's been from the XQ. Here we go. The XQ Institute is an Oakland, California based nonprofit organization that develops programs to improve high school education in the United States.
Mm.
The institute began with something called the XQ, the Super School Project, to identify new ideas to reform schools and improve student performance. It was founded in September 2015, as is shown here on the screen, by Lauren Powell Jobs and the wife of the widow of Steve Jobs. Um, Let me tell you a bit more about it. It saw the existing high school model as being obsolete. You know that have a saying, whatever I do, my monkey do too.
Yes, a big foolish monkey jumped in.
You got it? All
Mm.
right. The launch and it coincided with the announcement of a 50 million US dollar competition to redesign American public high schools, with funds to be awarded to build 5 new schools. It is funded by an organization called, make a note of this, the Emerson Collective. The Emerson Collective is an organization focused on education, immigration, reform, the environment, media and journalism, and health. Now, the Emerson Collective is founded on the Ralph Waldo Emerson principles and philosophy.
Mm.
So
And what are
remember now,
those?
XQ Institute,
Mm-hmm.
part of the Emerson Collective, and where has the Emerson Collective evolved or come from? Ralph Waldo Emerson was a writer, thinker, and philosopher who became the leading proponent of transcendentalism.
Wait, wait, wait. Let me turn off Caswell's. Yeah, go ahead.
He
So he is into
and
transcendental philosophy.
yes, and we are getting this money, and I am saying to myself, what are we buying into when we get funds from XQ Institute? Come clean.
Mm-hmm.
What are we buying into? We know the conditions from our IDB loan is there
Mm-hmm.
to see. We know the conditions from IMF. We know the conditions from CDB. Come clean and say what is the XQ Institute and what are the trade-offs? Who will be benefiting? Who will be gaining? Someone
Mm-hmm.
said, I feel like I am in a bad dream. I can't get up. God help Barbados.
Listen, Rose, I tell you,
Huh?
this is so much. It is so much information that you have laid on us, your students tonight, and I say, with if we could pause on it, because it's like I'm writing, and it feels like I need to process it, and we will have you on for, does because we need to get
Just
to the
just
bottom of
let me
it.
just let me tie into this one quickly. Two things I want to share, and I step out of as your teacher. Somebody's talking about gender fluidity. Let me share with you. You remember during COVID that the chief education officer had sent out a circular saying that we are going to have mindfulness sessions
Yes, I remember.
ahead of prayers,
Yes.
They
and there
wanted to
was
know
a,
what that was, and they don't know what they're up to know.
pushback. I am wondering if it weren't a progression into this whole XQ Emerson collective. I'm leaving it out there for you.
We will research that. We'll
But
research it.
one other thing I want to have the persons listening in and do some research on for yourself. One of the things, if you were listening, you would hear more so coming from the chief education officer. Uh, hear that. You see, you can see it.
Oh yes, it says, am I to believe that we're going to get a complete overhaul of our educational system for promise of funds for two schools from a philanthropist who is willing to finance experimented with new approaches in schools?
Yeah.
Um, you are a researcher.
But not only that, I'm going to have to ask Vincent to do it because he's the legal clerk, and my information reaching me is that the convent was sold, but it was offered to somebody else, and they were going to pay $14 million for it. They got back raised by a consortium for 24 million, and now the government is going to buy it. I want to find out who that consortium is. So I was going to sell the convent now to the government.
Mm,
May
wow.
I then leading on to the question asked by the sole student right now in the Senior College of Excellence, the
Excellence.
sole graduate. If you were listening carefully, and I start writing notes, I say, where's this creeping in from? And you would hear, and the Prime Minister herself has introduced a new paradigm, a new language called the decolonization of the curriculum. That
Mm,
they are colonizing the curriculum. Folks, open with the ears.
mm.
Listen, don't say that.
What what does that mean?
I
So
can't
listen,
hear in her.
listen, hold that piece, because that is, it, as somebody said, this is I'm wondering if they did this research, Mr. Caswell Franklin, before they came up with this education reform, if they reviewed over the years, like what we're getting tonight, a historical perspective, and look over the years, review everything, and then be able to come up with this, where we're at right now. But we only have 15 minutes. It seems like we have to have a longer one tonight, because I know that Kimar just came on. Go ahead, Caswell, you were saying something.
No, I was agreeing with you that we are the type of people right now that jump in and then look to see how far we jump in. You look, you don't, they leap before they look. And this is the government. That is why every time they come to the house, they make mistakes because they're going to start things first and then really, oops, it can't work.
Hmm.
Right? That is why, for instance, we pass a constitution and then we have to come back and do a new one. Because it can't work. The one that they put in place and work in everything that they do.
Mm-hmm. Somebody say, could dare the rest of us in Dunce land, because that is what's going to happen. That's why when they take out the creme de la creme and put them in the school of excellence,
Yes.
I
That
was
is
going to
how
say,
it will work.
yeah,
That is how it will work.
that's how it works. So the
That is
ones
how
like
it
me that
will
keep
work.
asking the questions, and Mr. Franklin who disrupting the class all the time, we not getting into the center of excellence.
Yeah,
But
you see,
So,
again, it's not, you know what you all will have out there? You will have at age 13, keep on looking back at the name, what name? The national, you all you others, if you don't uh, indicate to me that you're gifted like Miss McLean, I'm using their term, academically gifted to
mhm.
move ahead.
Wow.
That's it. You all will only be getting, I'm very sorry, but at age 13, you'll only be getting the Barbados National Secondary Diploma,
A piece of paper.
a
A piece
piece
of
of paper
paper.
that you can
Well,
say, I am competent in numeracy, I'm competent in literacy, I know a foreign language, and I'm good to go.
go. Wow. Well, listen, this is whew. Somebody's asking, how are we going to break this down? We have to think about this. So how do we break it down? It's not now. We can't do it now. But, Mr. Franklin, to the average person to get it, we have to, because it's only 381 of us on here. We need to be able to break this down, because if they had done this before, I can't, that it would have changed how they approach. No, at least they would have had a budget, at least you know. But let me welcome Kimar. Welcome, Kimar. Probably all we can say is hi. He's not hearing. But Mr. Franklin, what is your take on all of what you're hearing? Because I think we might have to let me pick
yeah,
up on
a
this.
lot of what Rose said has well, I knew, but she said a few other things that caught me by surprise, and I didn't know that they didn't have a budget. So I thought, saying this thing, it is natural to have a budget up front. No, because you cannot go and tell the people I'm building this house and don't know how much money you got. It doesn't work like that. But again, we have a lot of dunces in this place because they were elected. They would not get into that school of excellence. They, they don't think. And the problem is that a lot of what you are hearing now, I heard the Prime Minister talk about before. So the education experts, the people who are supposed to be doing the planning, are not really planning. They are trying to fit the Prime Minister's agenda